Well, it was a nice night sleeping right next to this, not quite interstate, but limited access highway type thing here. Because that's what you find east of the Mississippi. I'm at a TA. There's another ProMaster parked next to me. And it's about, I don't even know what time it is right now, because I think I'm in a different time zone than I was yesterday. But anyway, I am over near the Indiana Sand Dunes National Park, and we're going to head on down there. Visitor Center opens in a little over an hour, and so usually I read in the morning, but I'm not going to. I'm going to walk inside here, buy a coffee, use the restroom, and head on out to the dunes, get my reading done down there, and cook up some breakfast, and then the Visitor Center will be open.
The Indiana Sand Dunes National Park is another one of these eastern disjointed parks that I'm not a huge fan of. There's several different hikes, part of the park, that are spread throughout several different suburban areas, causing you to leave one area, drive through a little city, and then maybe down around some embankments, then you find another area, and the visitor center is in the middle of somewhere else, not surrounded by the park. There's just a lot of the weird disjointedness in some of these eastern parks that makes you wonder. Now, this is a newer park. Of course, there is a national or a state park there as well, and it was a national lakeshore and a state park, but the national lakeshore has been converted to a national park as of, I believe it was 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. And there are a lot of decent, good hikes that if you are in the area, it is worth going and seeing. It's just not as impressive as some of the other places that we have been, particularly those parks in the West.
Well, we're here in the western beach. It's still fairly desolate, although the other parking lot, there's a few more cars out there. And I just had some breakfast, got some reading done, got a little bit of tiny work done. But there's a water refill station down here. I'm not really short in water. I've actually topped off just a couple days ago. But there's a water refill station, so we're gonna go ahead and top off again before I head on over to start doing the hikes. So this is actually going to be a dog-friendly park. We got a water refill station, a water fountain, And a dog dish. Look at that. For little dogs. And here's our dunes. This is the picnic area. There's a lot of good restrooms over here. And this is just a nice spot to park in the parking lot and bring your picnic down here. And then over this way, up across that big dune over there, there's some stairs that go up and it looks awesome. So we're going to go over there.
Even if you have a good self-contained water system, it's always good to have a few easy-to-carry gallon jugs laying around so that in the event you find a water station, it's always wise to just pick yourself up another gallon or so. If the worst should happen, having an extra gallon of water on board gives you an extra couple days of life waiting for someone to help.
So here's the map of the dunes, and your visitor center is going to be over here. I'm actually way over here on the western dunes. There's one or two over here, so I'm right back up here. And then there's a nice dune succession trail which overlooks some cliff. It's fairly short. It's only about not even quite half a mile. There's a bigger one here. I'm probably just going to do this short one because I've identified a bunch of other dunes I'd like to hit. I have to, of course, do Mount Tom, because obviously, but this is called the 3 Dunes Challenge. There's 3 peaks here. So you start and you hike all 3 of them. It doesn't look like much of a challenge. All of them are under 1,000 feet. There is a great marsh trail somewhere. I'll find it in a bit. It's going to be in this area as well. And then I'm right over here in like the Kami and the Kami and the Lakeview Beach are over here. So these are the areas I want to hit. These, a spot over here and a spot over here, and that should give us a good idea. Now there's 15 miles of beaches, there's bike trails, tons and tons of hiking trails. So there's a lot to do down here. There's also some historical homesteads. I don't think I'm going to do the historical homesteads. It kind of depends on is there going to be one that's close to where I'm going to. I was thinking about this one, but I couldn't find any information about it. I'll check with the rangers though and see what they say. Now, one of the bog trails, they actually have some carnivorous plants here. It's in the Pinhook Bog Trail, which you can only go down with a ranger, so I'll have to see if a ranger is available for that. So here's a better close-up map of this one. So there's 3 different loop trails down here. These ones here are kind of going to be scenery I've seen before. I'm going to do just this one, which we have a 0.6, a 0.2, and a 0.1. So we have a total of just under a mile, but it goes on up those steps over there and around that way, and we should have a view of Lake Michigan over that edge. So we're going to go ahead and just do that one, and then we're going to head on over to the other side of the park after that. Tell you what, this 0.1 mile just on raw loose sand is really tiring. I'm actually looking forward to descending that several hundred steps right there. It might actually be less tiring than this. This is crazy. It's totally awesome. So far, just sand, grass, and poison ivy. My shoes are full of sand. So this dune trail is called Diana's Dune, from a lady whose actual name was Alice, but she became known as Diane of the Dune. And back in the early 1900s, 1915 to 1925, she decided that she was going to live out here among the nature on the dunes, which end up bringing a lot of attention to the dunes, allowing it to become a preserved part of nature fairly early on in its history, which is probably good, because otherwise it would probably have been deeply developed by now, and we may not have some of the beauty. I wanted to live my own life, a free life. The life of a salary earner in cities is slavery, a constant fight for the means of living. Here, it is so different. So just some of the plants and such. So I was seeing some plants that are a little bit more rare in this environment up there, although you might find them in near oceans and things like that. There's some sassafras. I see a plant called Solomon seal. There's some beech trees, and there's also going to be some cottonwoods and things like that that we will see eventually here. Those are all the pioneering species which help to solidify the dunes and prevent them from eroding away. The grass that you'll find on the dunes, there's a specific name for that one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a nice grass that will prevent the erosion. Same thing, similar type of thing that we saw over in the mesquite sand dunes in Death Valley, where just under the soil there is the only moist part in Death Valley. Well, outside the oasis at Scotty's Castle, which was closed when I went out there, so we didn't get a chance to film any of that. So let's talk about this plant right here. This is actually one of the poisonous lookalikes to grapes. And it is not actually grapes. This is called the Canadian moonseed. And you'll see that the fruit almost resembles grapes if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. But one of the telltale signs is exactly I think it's every other or every third branch is going to have a runner. So here's your runner, skip. Here's your runner, skip, skip, and there should be a runner over here, which may not be there just from the age of the plant or being this close to the trail. But it is actually one of the poisonous lookalikes. I actually ate it once. It doesn't like kill you. It doesn't taste good either. So there you go. There's one here, skip, one here, skip, one here. So every other branch, there's going to be a runner. And then the clusters, to the trained eye, you can tell the difference between grape and Canadian moonseed, but to the untrained eye, they can look very similar. But it is a poisonous lookalike. You'll know it. You won't eat more than one berry because they taste gross. And down there is our lovely species of poison ivy, right next to a sassafras. We talked about sassafras the other day. We're entering a little building down here. This might actually be the spot. There are showers around here somewhere. Oh yeah, look at that. There's ladies. We'll walk over to the men's. There's some more water bottle refill stations. Nice little overlook. And then this is all paved back to the parking lot, if I'm reading my maps correctly. Good news, there are showers that appear free. Bad news, they are communal. We'll not be taking a shower today. You know, I don't want to scare anybody with any parts. All right, so I just went ahead and talked to the rangers over there. And this spot here with the 3 Dunes Challenge, it's actually part of the state park, and there's an extra $12 entry fee to get in there. And I'm not a cheapskate or anything, but I'm not paying an extra $12 for what is going to be one hike. This beach over here and a tiny little hike is still available. So I'm going to do that. And then there's the marsh trail here, which is not, I hear, super amazing. But over here, this is a very biodiverse. About 5 miles of hikes there. I won't do the whole 5 miles, but I might go out there for at least a little bit. So we're going to head over here first. Then we're going to backtrack over to here. And then probably wrap up our time. I did take a look at the Pinhook Bog where there are carnivorous plants, and unfortunately it is only open on Saturdays, ranger led. So we won't get a chance to do that one yet either. So early perspectives on this park, I still need to see a little bit more, but I'm not sure I'd plan a solid trip to it. Here's the challenge. Well, the Diana's Dune, the Western Dune area, was totally awesome and probably worth it in itself. It's very quiet, very peaceful, not a lot of people over there, great hiking over there. But the park is spread between a lot of other things. There's a lot of industry and a lot of town in between each individual part. The next place I'm going to go technically isn't national park land, although it's part of the national park, so you got to carry your pass with you in case you get stopped along the way. And it's just stuff is disjointed and everywhere. And if you look at the map, we got this part over here. We got the bog is a good 20 miles away from anything else. It's just like a mishmash of a bunch of things. So it's nice if you have a pass and you're in this area. I definitely stop by, but I'm not sure it's compelling enough that I'd really recommend that you would just plan a trip out here, unless you're planning a trip to do parks and city stuff at the same time. There's a state park in the middle of the national park, which is an extra entry fee. And so when you consider all these things together, it's too disjointed to really capture the peace of the nature. It's kind of my thoughts on it so far, but we're going to go ahead and do a few more hikes and see what I see on all those. But I don't know, let's go ahead and head on down to the Cowles Bog Trail now. So the ranger told me this bog, which isn't actually a bog, but he said it's one of the most biodiverse places in the country. Unfortunately, he said most of it is insects, so carry bug spray. So I'm going to spray myself down now and hopefully be bug free. The beginning of the bog trail is going to be a deciduous forest, and it's going to open up into a marsh and bog, and that's why we have to do at least that 3-mile loop. We could actually do a little bit less, but the 3-mile loop is going to get us around the bog, so we'll get a chance to see the biodiversity out here. So here's actually part of the border where we see some biodiversity come in. We moved from a very deciduous area into, there's 2 plants here that identify as more wetland and marshy type. These guys here, the touch-me-nots or jewelweed, those are kind of transitional. You'll often find them around stream beds, but more importantly, look at the cattails back there. The cattails always grow in marshy soils, marshy, swampy, wet, and then we also have willow. So you can see the willow also grows primarily in wetter areas. So we definitely have a lot of wet. Then there's the reed grass back there. All of these are signs of wetter areas where we're actually starting to shift in our biodiversity. And we got this guy here. This is called boneset, which is another one for marshy areas. Very, very distinct leaves wrap all the way around the stem with a few plants that does that. So So here we have some nightshade with berries in various stages of development. Those are the green ones. The red ones are more ripe. The orange ones are getting ripe. Of course, you don't want to eat them. Nightshade is one of the plants in the tomato family, and it is toxic. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, in the ancient days, the quote-unquote witches would feed nightshade berries to children and say that they have put a curse on the family, and then the children would get sick. And that is where that idea came from. All right, so I can go back to the parking lot. This is the way I was thinking about going. But looking at the sign, I'm wondering if I should go this way, hit the beach, and instead of walking around the beach, hit the beach and just come on back. Straight the way I came. I think that might work for me. We're gonna do that. Well, as beautiful a place this is, there is still time to get a little bit of work done. So, you know, I brought out my chair and hanging on the beach. And sadly, I don't get internet right here. I think I actually might if I moved to the other beach across the way, about a mile or two down the way. But I have things to do offline, so we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of work done for probably about 45 minutes of battery power left in my computer right now. I didn't charge it lately. But we'll get a little bit of work done, and then I think we're going to about wrap up here. I might do the little bog trail up here. We'll see. I don't know. I figured why not hike this last trail. It is under a mile for the last trail, and actually I talked to a local a few minutes ago who actually said it's a nice little trail for less than 1 mile. So we'll go and do that, and that's actually going to give me twice my daily step goal. So that's an extra benefit of doing the extra mile. And I gotta say, the trip out here was pretty good. I know I had the spot earlier where I was like, yeah, it's not the best of the parks, and I'll stick to that. However, it is worth going to. I still wouldn't plan a specific trip just to it, but I did have a lot of fun. There's hikes, there's beaches, there's swimming, all sorts of fun stuff. And so for that reason, it is a nice place. This is my Peter Pan impression. I'm following my shadow. Woohoo! 2 times the activity goal for the day. If my camera will focus, I have hiked 10 miles today. Look at that, just shy of 20,000 steps. Very awesome. For those curious, because you might know, or maybe you don't know, that I do not use anything that connects to other people's servers or databases. I'm a free and open source guy. That's the type of stuff I use. So my watch is a Garmin Forerunner, and the Forerunner is the only model that, at least as of the time I bought it, it's the only watch I know of that collects decent data, but doesn't actually require you to sync it up to a phone. Okay, so if I actually go this trail, I'm going way out of the way. We're gonna go this way for the short trail. All right, so anyway, I use the Garmin Forerunner because after doing all my research, it's the only watch I knew of that was a decent company that does not require me to activate the device with a phone, with a website, with anything else. I've never turned on Bluetooth on the watch. It can do all that kind of stuff, and I could, you know, sync all my health and fitness data to Garmin's website. No, thank you. You do not gain access to that data. That's my data. But I can check my steps. I can check heart rate. I can do activity logs, and I can keep about a week's worth of logs of running and other physical activity on there. So, warning though, most of the Garmin products, devices, it is so crazy. I was trying to set one up for a friend of mine. We ended up taking it back. You have to sync it to the phone, and then the phone has to have location data turned on. Full location services has to be turned on. It has to, you have to create an account with providing a phone number, I think. Just all sorts of nonsense. It's like, no, I'm not giving all of that data to you. But this one allows me to grab just the data that I need. I don't need anything more than that, and I just use it for daily evaluating and maybe keeping up my my various tests and stuff. And with that, though, that's the watch I use and why I use it. And we're getting to the end of the trail. And so I think from here I'm going to cook up some dinner. And then I'm actually going to head over. There's a donut shop about 5 miles away. I'm going to go there and work on some things that I need to finish up for some people this week. We're going to take care of all that. So we're going to go ahead and leave this video here at the Indiana Sand Dunes National Park. I hope that you enjoyed the video here as much as I enjoyed sharing it. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Hit that notification bell. Share the video far and wide. And we will see you a little bit further down the road.